Okay. Good afternoon. It's loud. A little louder than hearing myself in my own office. Thanks to all of you who made it in person, and then we have a good number of our TAC online, so it's good to see many of you here, and thanks for making the drive today. We're going to start with item number 2, approval of the September 22nd meeting summary. There are no questions. I'll take a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Bob. And a second?
Need to abstain. I was absent last
Okay.
meeting.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jacob. Okay. All those in favor in person and online, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. We'll move to item 3, discussion and recommendation on amendments to the 2025-2028 Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP, and the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan, RTP. Ryan.
All right, thank you. Let's see if I have this microphone. All right, there we go. So this is just bringing back the fall amendment cycle. We've presented this to the policy board as an information item in public hearing last month, and discussed this with you on the 22nd as an information item. So today we are asking for a recommendation on the requested amendments. Again, the fall amendment cycle is our regularly scheduled opportunity where we make changes to the regional transportation plan, as well as the transportation improvement program. If we go to the next slide, Simone. So just to review the submittals for changes in the fall amendment cycle, majority of these are just moving projects around in the schedule. We have the SH71 projects that are going to move out into fiscal year 2030 to better align with the Austin Transit Partnership's light rail project and some other activities out there. And then we are moving several of the I-35 projects out and moving funding within the breakout projects. I do want to point out there are 12 breakout projects for the I-35 project in total, and the overall scope and funding and schedule has not changed. It's basically just managing those individual listings. And then the FM812 project out in Travis County, they are extending the limits of that project out to Peterson Road. If you go to the next slide, we did have some changes on some currently some federally funded projects that the funding was rescinded. So we're removing those from the TIP, but they will remain in the long range plan for future funding opportunities. The city of Round Rock, we do have 4 transit projects that we are adding. This is additional funding that's going to be used to do facility improvements and upgrades. And then finally, we have the Austin Transit Partnership has submitted the Austin Light Rail Phase 1. This includes the engineering and right-of-way acquisition for the light rail project. We've got the funding broken up into 4 fiscal years. Again, this is a project that's undergoing the Capital Investments Grants Program, New Starts. It does not have federal funding attached to it yet, but they are going through that process, which is an iterative federal funding process and does require its inclusion in the Transportation Improvement Program at this point. So we are adding the locally funded portions and phases of that project. So yes, this is all the local tax revenue that is funding these phases. And so no federal funding is attached, but it will come back when it does get further along in the New Starts process. So with that, I'm going to pass it along to Joyce to talk about the public comment period that is concluded.
Thank you, Ryan. So the public comment period was open from September 2nd to October 17th. We included 6 in-person open houses, as well as an online open house and commenting period. So online commenting and also commenting by mail and phone were accepted. So we did extend the comment period. Originally, it was supposed to close on October 10th, but with the Austin Transit Partnership amendment being added partway through, we did extend that comment period and then also provided an update to the email subscribers that that was being extended. We received 19 comments, and most of the comments were not related specifically to amendments in this cycle. They were amendments related or comments related to the 1826 improvements, both on the Hayes and Travis County sides, as well as one of the 35 boardwalk related projects. So that is what we received, and I'll hand it back over to Ryan.
Thank you, Joyce. And so with that, I'll take any questions regarding the amendments and request that the Technical Advisory Committee make a recommendation to the Transportation Policy Board regarding these amendments. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Anybody have any questions?
Richard? Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. So my question is on the highway cap over the reconstructed IH-35. I know that federal funding was rescinded, but it still has local funding and program for it. So, and if we are anticipating pursuing additional federal funding grants as they become available. So does that still require it to be removed off the tip?
Yeah, so it has to be completely funded to be listed in the tip. So
Okay.
the entire phase has to be for construction.
entire
So,
phase.
yeah, the entire thing. So, but it will stay in the plan. So it'll be set up for federal funding. So once you do have the full funding acquired, whether it's local funding or another federal grant, then we can put it back into the tip.
Because the phase we have fully funded are for roadway elements.
It's for the construction, engineering.
But this was
construction.
the cap.
Mhm.
So Richard, we're actually adding it to the illustrative list of the RTP so we can get environmental clearance next year before the loan is dispersed. So we'll be adding it to the next round of the RTP illustrative for all city and all UT caps for environmental clearance. And then once the fund, yeah, you're right, the local money is secured, but we don't have to get that into the tip until letting, which is really 2028.
Right.
Yeah, so we'll figure all that out between now and next November, but the big next thing is just to get it in the illustrative for clearance, and then we'll set everything up knowing everything by the end of next November. We'll get everything in for what it needs to be for the lettings. Yeah.
That helps me. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Do you see anyone online? Doesn't look like it.
No.
No?
Move approval.
Thank you, Bob. The second,
Second.
did you see who that was? Yeah, who online seconded, please?
That was Brian Kuhn, City Runner.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, we'll move to item 4, discussion and recommendation on the final draft regional safety action plan. Nick.
Yep. Thank you, Emily. Again, thank you. I want to thank everybody who took part in this planning effort, all the folks who participated in the county safety task forces, especially. That was a great start to this ongoing effort to make roadways safer in our region. I'm here today to present the final draft of the RSAP and to ask for recommendation from the TAC for board adoption. I also present some ideas about early implementation items for CAMPO staff and others to undertake, as well as some potential programs recommended in this plan that we can discuss today or at future meetings. Next slide. Okay, gotcha. I'll reiterate here again that our purpose for this study is to begin to deal with regionally the issue of roadway fatalities and serious injuries. It is an issue that many of our communities in our region have been dealing with in a variety of ways, but one that our region has now chosen to tackle in a systemic way to make sure that our friends, neighbors, and family can travel safely. There we go. Many of our local, regional, and statewide partners have already begun to take this issue seriously by adopting visions and goals to eliminate fatal and serious injury crashes. The time frame offered by our safety task forces aligns with that's been adopted by the state and many other county and municipal governments in our region. With an analysis of crash hotspots and through building a high injury network with our county safety task forces, this plan offers a project list of site-specific improvements that local governments and agencies can use to begin to address many critical safety issues. Plan also offers a safety toolbox composed of systemic infrastructure treatments, recommended policies and safety programs, and behavioral strategies that address education, enforcement, and community engagement. Our task ahead is to begin the steps to implement an actionable framework focused on improving roadway safety with specific roles for CAMPO, member agencies, and our regional partners. Throughout the first year of implementation, we will begin to take on a number of efforts that have been described in the RSAP, including the early action items you see here. These include updating our crash data dashboards to reflect the work of this plan, and to work with the TAC to continue safety grant coordination and progress reporting on the plan itself. In addition, I'm also offering ideas for potential programs that plan has recommended that CAMPO and our regional partners can begin to explore and undertake. These include promotion and peer exchanges for things like the Safe Routes to School program, a program to support roadway safety audits, and a continuation of some of our county safety task forces to further the implementation at the county level. I welcome any discussion of these early action items here today, or any other ideas that you might have on how we should begin implementation of this plan. As of last Wednesday, I was made aware of one minor error in the document referring to Cedar Park's resolution for plan adoption. We will make that change and send a new copy back to the TAC before sending the draft to the board. And with that change in mind, I present the following recommendation to the TAC. Staff requests the Technical Advisory Committee recommend adoption of the Regional Safety Action Plan by the Transportation Policy Board. Thank you, and any questions I'll take now.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Yep.
Anyone have any questions, comments?
Yes, ma'am, Emily, this is Amy Robertson from Bastrop County.
Hey, hi, Amy. Go
Hi,
ahead.
this is, I hate to be a fly in the ointment, but page 120 and page 121 of the draft Regional Safety Action Plan as presented notes a few Bastrop County projects where the recommended improvement includes the addition and installation of rumble strips. I believe I had forwarded to Sam that we would like those rumble strips removed. Everything else can stay, the striping, the chevrons, but rumble strips specifically from county road projects in Bastrop County, we would like to see removed in advance of this plan being presented to the policy board.
Okay, no, yeah, we can make that change, Amy. I'll probably confer with you just to make sure that I have it correct, but yeah, we will remove mention of rumble strips from those pages that you mentioned to us. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Any other questions or comments?
I have one question. How often is this plan, would it be updated?
Well, I think we have in mind in terms of maybe not updating, but annual reporting for the progress of the plan. But I think it would be an open question as to how often we would update the plan itself. So I think that's certainly a discussion that this body or the board can have as well. But I don't think we have set time frame in mind at this point.
Okay. Other questions or comments? Okay.
I just want to thank CAMPO staff for all your work on this. The City of Austin's Vision Zero program supports the plan and really appreciate your leadership in this area. I also want to throw a quick shout out to TxDOT. Last week, our city celebrated the 10-year anniversary of our adoption of Vision Zero, which is to eliminate all fatalities and serious injuries on our road network. And District Engineer Tucker Ferguson joined me in celebrating that 10-year and recognizing that our programs, Road to Zero and Vision Zero, seek the same outcomes. So thank you to this body and for your work on this.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, if I could get a motion with the 2 corrections for Cedar Park and Bastrop County.
A motion?
Okay, thank you, Richard. And a second? That Angela?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Fantastic. Thank you so much. We'll move to item 5, discussion and approval of Transportation Demand Management Subcommittee nomination. Yorav, I think you have one addition for us.
Yes, exactly. One addition. Last month, this body voted on the nominees to serve on the TAC TDM subcommittee. After that meeting, TxDOT, the Austin District asked for one additional name, which is Megan Dutton, Director of Special Project Advancement. So staff is recommending that TAC approve the nominee to serve on the TDM subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, or comments? Okay, I'll take a motion.
So move.
Thank you, Bob. And a second. Thank you, Jacob. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move to the information section of our agenda. Item 6, discussion on transportation project progress. Christine.
Before she gets started, I just wanted to introduce Christine. She is somewhat new to CAMPO at this point, but since we're in person, I think it'd be a good opportunity to introduce her. She's coming from TxDOT, spent 5 years at TxDOT. A little bit 5, and then was at the San Antonio MPO before that. But she's been doing a great job, and she's about to present on the work she's been doing over the last 4 months. And don't want to steal her thunder, but she's been doing a fantastic job going through every single project that CAMPO has funded in the last 20 years and doing a very comprehensive review of the project progress. And she's going to go through that progress and where she is today. So just wanted to introduce her, and we're excited to have her on board. So
thank you, man. Kind of like hyped me up a little bit too much. But as Ryan was mentioned, well, it was nice meeting everyone in person. As Ryan mentioned, I am undergoing right now a comprehensive review of our active projects. If you look at the chart on the left, you'll see the 39 projects that I've had a chance to go through. You'll see that 12 of them are now showing closed, but when I started this, they were in an active status. And the reason for this review is first to ensure alignment with our policy requirements. CAMPO requires awarded sponsors to submit a quarterly progress report on how their project is advancing. And then also we wanted to gain some financial transparency on these projects. We have went and dug in and looked at all the federal expenditures, make sure that everything is just billing accordingly. With this review, we are trying to make sure, obviously, that all the projects are progressing on time, but if needed, we have some compliance measures in place. If a project is not progressing in a manner in which we deem satisfactory, we do have the option of placing it on a provisional status, or if needed, worst case, recommending that the project is defunded. On the next slide, you'll see more of a highlighted overview of the active projects, the 22 active projects. So to the right, these 22 active projects right now are comprised of 10 active sponsors. If you were to think of them as a whole, there's a little over 100 million in active awards with these projects, and almost 60 million of those funds have been expended. So on average, the sponsors right now are at about 59% expenditure rate. I don't think there's really much more on that one, but on the last slide though, there we go. We just wanted to also highlight one of the things that we're doing on the next slide is the city of Buda. And so this was a project that they were awarded back in the 2019-2022 call, and it was a $400,000 project along FM 2001 to construct a shared use path. This project has since 100% fully exhausted all of their funds, and it has closed out, but we just kind of wanted to show y'all what this project looks like now, what it looked like before, and just let you know where the funds are going. So these are just some photos on the right that were actually taken on site this month. So this is what the project looks like now.
I'm glad you guys got that dirt bike in the photo. That's wonderful.
When I went back through to grab the before photos, I couldn't believe what the area looks like now to where, you know, when I saw the before, I was like, oh, so really glad that this project was awarded. I don't know if you have anything you want to add or if anybody has any questions.
I think I had a couple of things. If you'll go back to the previous slide, and thank you for that presentation. Yeah, and apparently that dirt bike was doing stunts for Christine when she was taking pictures. But I think one of the things, the 5 awaiting execution, which sounds like the guillotine, but we were joking about that earlier. But these are the reawarded projects that are undergoing AFA development currently. So they're the I think it's West Runberg Lane, Lake Line, the ITS projects, and then Pierce Lane, which were refunded last year, so they don't have an executed AFA yet. So they're not included on this chart here, but will be once they get those awards executed. So, but overall, it looks like, yeah, I think we're making good progress on most all the projects. One thing I did want to point out is that the My Products reporting system is undergoing some development changes, and so that is shut down currently for external users, but will be opened back up at the beginning of the year. So you'll have access to start reporting again on your projects. So I just wanted to point that out too. But that was it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any questions, comments? Anyone?
Ed Collins.
Ed?
I have a comment.
Yeah, Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for putting together this information. I'm always kind of a big proponent of us being able to show what's been accomplished in different intervals. And the TIP is kind of one of those timeframes where we can tout what's happened over the past couple of years for not only local projects, for state projects as well, because we have a lot going on, and I think it's good to kind of give us a little progress report of how we're doing. So I appreciate this on the smaller projects, and would just advocate to continue to kind of give our construction workers a toot of the horn about how they're coming along on different construction projects as we go through time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
We'll move to item 7, update on CAMPO project readiness program. Chad.
Turn this over to our general engineering consultant, Eric Busker at PGE, who's been handling our project readiness program.
All right, thank you, Chad. I'll start with a very quick refresher and in some cases intro to the program. We have a lot of new faces on TAC since our last update on the program. But back in 2021, the policy board approved the creation of the project readiness program. This program allocated funds from CAMPO's SH-130 concession fund to be used directly towards planning studies and schematic projects in our region. 2 major goals of the program. One is project readiness, obviously, right? As a region, we all benefit from having as many projects as far along that project development process as possible, capitalize and be competitive on those federal funding opportunities. So move those projects further along the project development stage. But the second goal is also right-of-way preservation. As a region, obviously, we're seeing very rapid development up and down our roadways. And so we can, even if we may not have construction funding identified at this time, doesn't mean we can't do some studies, some schematics, find out what that ultimate right-of-way footprint needs to look like, protect it against development, and so that whenever construction funding is identified, we've got that corridor ready to go. Once the program was created, CAMPO worked very closely with TxDOT and identified these 9 regionally significant corridors to be included as part of the program. Through various coordination, and then they used the SH-130 concession funds to hire us as a GEC to help deliver this program. The first thing we did was we created a subcommittee of the TAC. We called it the Prioritization Subcommittee. Looked at all 9 of these corridors, a variety of factors, and then 4 corridors currently are underway, 3 being directly overseen or produced by our program, And one, the SH29 project is being done by TxDOT, kind of independent of the project readiness program, but still certainly underway. So I'll be providing updates on the 3 projects that are currently being directly overseen by CAMPO. Next slide, please. The first project is FM 973 from US 290 to US 79, or from Manor to Taylor. We've all heard about the Samsung development off of FM 973 that is spurring a lot of growth directly around Samsung. But even before that, we were seeing a lot of residential subdivisions pop up along 973 closer to Manor, new high schools popping up. So definitely a regionally significant corridor that we have a chance to get caught up on in terms of being ahead of development. So started by breaking up the project into 3 segments. The north segment, which is kind of hard to see from this scale, but pretty much starts at Samsung. It's called Samsung Highway and goes north towards US 79. That's its own segment that's widening from a 2-lane undivided roadway to a 6-lane divided with shared use paths. We had an open house in August, so just a few months ago. Very positive feedback from the public, a lot of support for the project and need. We expect to have an approved schematic and environmental document in 2026, and it's currently scheduled to let in 2028. I think it's important to highlight that when this program was created, there was not even a letting date. So I think it's an achievement and a milestone that we're all pretty excited about, to go from kind of no project to letting in 5 years. And so excited to see that one get started. And then the central and the south segments, so just south of Samsung all the way to Manor, some stakeholder coordination is ongoing with our local governments. We are currently looking at different typical section options. We certainly want to make sure that we alleviate as much of that traffic in Manor as possible. But looking at doing an open house sometime in the first half of 2026, going to the public, seeing what feedback they have, challenges along the corridor. We're also going to be coordinating very closely with TxDOT and CTRMA at the 290 intersection. Some of y'all may be aware of the 290 study that RMA currently has underway. So we'll look at some concepts of what that intersection between those 2 facilities could look like. Next slide, please. All right, so FM 734, otherwise known as Palmer, from RM 1431 to MOPAC. So this is a planning study. So by the end of this, we'll have a completed planning study. And it's kind of broken up into 3 phases: data collection, which is completed; alternatives development, which is completed; and now we're under the comparison of alternatives. Each of the first 2 phases involved coordination with our local governments, public meetings, feedback, incorporating that feedback from the public. And so right now we're comparing some of those alternatives. We're developing short, mid, and long-term recommendations that'll be rolled out in an open house probably in the next 2 to 3 months. We're looking to get our last round of stakeholder meetings with our local governments scheduled before the end of the year, and then be ready to go out to the public with those recommendations. At that point, it would be ready for the schematic stage, but there's no timeline associated with starting that schematic, but we will have the planning study complete. And then next slide, please. FM 969, also a planning study, very similar to the Palmer process, but 969, we have the large Tesla facility right off 130 that we've all seen is just across the street there. We're also seeing the Boring Company and Starlink, and all the growth associated with those developments, rapid growth along the corridor, especially as we move closer to Bastrop. But again, finished the first 2 phases, data collection and development of alternatives. Our second open house is ongoing. We had the physical open house, in-person open house was a few weeks ago. That virtual option is still live if anybody would like to go review those materials. But once that comment period is closed, we'll go compare those alternatives. We can just from this map see some of those sharp curves on 969. So we're looking at going on new location in some locations and trying to flatten out some of those curves where possible. Meeting with the local governments, getting their feedback as well. But we would expect to go back out to the public with that preferred alternative, again, sometime in the first half of 2026. And again, it's another planning study. So once that's done, we'll have that completed planning study ready for schematic. Last slide, please. So next steps on the program, obviously still corridor studies that have not been started. But I think the goal with these first few was kind of prove out this concept, this partnership between an MPO and a DOT actually directly working on projects. And so it seems like the model is working, the pilot is working, and so how can we apply those to the rest of the program? Some of those planning studies could get started into schematics, and then evaluating funding opportunities for the continuation of the program. A lot of corridors, a lot of work to be done, but I'm certainly excited about, like I said, the opportunity to get as many projects in the hopper to be competitive for those federal funding opportunities, and then to preserve right of way for decades of improvements that we can all benefit from. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thanks, Eric. Looks like, Ed, do you have your hand raised? No, that was from the last item.
I do have a comment. I do.
Okay.
Sorry, keep my hand raised. I think sometimes we don't give the public enough information about how long it takes to do projects. I mean, here we are talking about these particular projects, and it does take a long time. I think we used to use like a 20 to 25 year time frame, but just speaking from experience, you see others that go much longer than those time frames. And so I'm just curious also, if we get too far out on our skis, that we have to come back because the environmental document has gotten too stale to a certain extent. I think it's a great thing to try to do the right-of-way reservation, but I'm just wondering, kind of have to balance those out about our consumer expectations. So, just something to think about.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think we're being very strategic about which projects we actually take all the way through the schematic and environmental process for that reason. And so if there's that possibility, like you said, that expires, then we're not going to go ahead and rush it to get through the environmental process, but that still allows us to do the right-of-way preservation, like you said. So.
Thanks, Ed. Any other questions?
Emily,
Oh, Brian. Sorry.
Hey, Eric, just a quick question. How does this tie into efforts that are already ongoing from different agencies? Like on 79, we're working with TxDOT on a portion of that design here in Round Rock. But I think the county is also working on a portion of 1431. How does this tie into those efforts?
Yeah, I'll start, and if Heather has anything to add, feel free, obviously. But yeah, there would not be overlap. So like you said, if Cedar Parks or Wilco's 1431 project is already underway, then we're going to let that go, and that's going to be run by those local governments. But we wouldn't overlap or override any recommendations that are already being done as part of the TxDOT studies. Does that make sense, Brian?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So this is probably more for TxDOT or CAMPO than it is for you, Eric, but I'm just curious what our timeline is on some of these other studies that we haven't started. Because for some of us, with the state tying our hands on how much right of way we can grab or we can hold back, and specifically speaking for my city, Hutto, we're going gangbusters over there. We're trying to keep up as best we can, but I've got developers laughing in my face because I can't do anything to them. And they're going nuts on 79. That's a major corridor. Round Rock's already trying to deal with their aftermath. Hutto and Taylor are just kind of trying to figure things out as we go. And Samsung's not only affected 973, it's also hitting 79. So I'm just curious what our timeline is.
I just had a quick question on what do you mean by hands tied on right away?
So the state legislature changed the way we can require developers to give us right of way when they're doing development projects. So unless it's on the tip or is already funded in a CIP project, we cannot require them to give us right of way.
Bob, is there something on the county? There's a plan the counties can put forward, right?
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you. I think 79 is including part of the plan. So let's talk offline, and we may be able to provide you some help.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Eric. We'll move to item 8, report on transportation planning activities.
I don't have anything. Looking, Ashby, see if you got
Nothing I can think of in particular. Right now, well, I'll just say this, and I don't know how much this, well, I guess this impacts all of us. So, if y'all haven't been keeping up, the election of officers for the Transportation Policy Board will take place at the January board meeting. Commissioner Long, who is the current chair, has stated that she will not run for chair again, but she will remain on the board until the end of her term in office is up as Precinct 2 commissioner through December of 26. So, right now, at least, the discussion at the last board meeting was the current vice chair, who is Councilmember Rudy Mateer from Pflugerville, will be standing for election for chair. And I have been told that Mayor Josh Schrader from Georgetown is interested in being vice chair. And then Commissioner Ed Terrio from Caldwell County is interested in being secretary. That's all I know in terms of who's looking to be a board member officer between now, but there may be changes between now and January. Folks either coming on the list or coming off the list, but the election is at the regular January meeting. So we'll see what happens there. For those of you that may be new, Commissioner Long is the longest serving board member in CAMPO history. So she had been board member well before I came here in 2014. So we use her as a source of institutional knowledge for us. Some of the records keeping before we came in 2014 was sparse. And so sometimes when we can't find anything, we go to Commissioner Long and we ask what happened. Years of service, not just to Williamson County, but to the region. I consider her to be a progressive thought leader, not just in this region on transportation, but in the state. So that will be a loss for us. But we're in great shape going forward. I think we've got a great board, and they're working together very well, especially compared to when we came in 2014. So keep your eyes open for that and go forward.
Yep.
I'd just like to add that y'all should have received an email from Kimberly Petty in our office on requests for appointments for the 2026 Technical Advisory Committee. So if you didn't receive that, just please let me know. We've requested to get that information back, who your agency's TAC voting member and alternate member are by Friday, December 15th.
Now remember a couple more things. So if this has been mentioned already, forgive me or just tell me. So we did have the groundbreaking last month for the 183A frontage roads project that starts at Avery Ranch, City of Austin, and goes up to RM 1431 in Cedar Park. If for those of you that are new, that project was included as part of the CapEx agreement with TxDOT back in 2020. So that one and RM 620 was part of that deal. So we're at the point now where the work is. I mean, they're out there moving dirt, and I'm glad to see that. I live in Cedar Park, so. But I use the toll road, so I'm not trying to get out of the tolls. Unlike some I could name. So that project is underway, and then tomorrow morning we have the groundbreaking for State Highway 71. Is it Tucker Hill? Heather, is that the great step I'm thinking of? Okay, thank you. The grade SEP at State Highway 71 in Tucker Hill, we'll have the groundbreaking for that tomorrow. So for those of you that were around in 20, that was one of the deferred projects. So we're back to getting that one done, and then the other one's already been completed. So lots of improvements on 71 going forward, and I'm happy to see that one back up and running again too.
Yeah, Ashby, any questions? Okay. Thank you so much. So on our almost last item, TAC chair announcements. I wanted to thank the CAMPO team for setting up this hybrid meeting. I think it is important for us to get some face time, but no, schedules kind of don't always allow for that. So appreciate the hybrid flexibility, and for the TAC members that were able to make it here in person today. I appreciate that. The next policy board meeting will be November 10th at 2, and the next TAC meeting will be online only on November 17th at 2. And with that, we'll adjourn. Thanks, everybody.